Come closer. The shadows have missed you, and tonight they have a new story to tell. Welcome to Scary Stories After Dark. The woods breathed. Cold October wind slipped through dying branches, rattling candy wrappers and crisp leaves that littered the dirt path. A girl laughed, high, sharp, and nervous. "Come on, Eli. It's just a shortcut." Her boyfriend stumbled behind, cider drunk, the glow of his phone barely slicing through fog. They'd left the Dandy Hill Harvest Festival early. Too many cops, too many drunk parents, too much small-town déjà vu. The path was silent now, except for their boots squishing mud and the faint hum of carnival lights far behind them. Then the girl froze. Something sat in the middle of the trail. A tiny box. Orange and white paper, black ribbon tied in a perfect bow. "Probably some dumb prank," Eli said, crouching, his breath fogged. "Or maybe it's a love note." She grinned, half teasing, half scared. "Open it, Casanova." He pulled the ribbon loose. The box creaked. Inside lay perfect rows of candy corn, glistening under the phone light. The smell was strangely sweet, almost chemical. A twig snapped. They turned. Fog shifted like something breathing in it. "Hello?" Eli called. "Yo, somebody there?" Silence, then a soft scraping like metal dragged through dirt. The girl grabbed his arm. "Let's go." A shape moved between the trees, tall, too thin, too quick. A low whistle drifted through the dark, 3 notes, slow and eerie. Eli's phone light blinked out. The sound that followed wasn't human. Wet, hungry, close. "Run," she screamed. They crashed through the brush, breath ragged, hands clawing at branches. Her shoe snapped off, lost somewhere behind. The whistling grew louder, closer, broken by the crunch of leaves and something heavier, like bones underfoot. She looked back once. A shadow lunged from the fog, taller than the trees, face hidden, eyes glinting like candlelight. Her scream tore through the woods, then vanished. Morning light washed over Cherry Street. Deputy Cal Rourke lifted the police tape, chewing on a toothpick, eyes bloodshot. Reporters whispered at the edge of the woods. No bodies, no tracks, just a trail of torn candy wrappers and a single candy corn half buried in mud. The chief muttered, "Every damn October." From somewhere deeper in the trees, the wind carried a faint whistle. 3 notes. Low. Almost cheerful. Holly woke to the sound of static. The radio on the kitchen counter kept flicking between news and white noise, like it couldn't decide what world it lived in.
2 local youths still missing after last night's Harvest Festival.
Click.
Rumors of the candy corn killer resurface.
Click.
Police urge residents to remain calm.
Yeah, sure, calm. In Dandy Hill, in October. She shuffled in wearing flannel pajama pants and a sarcastic "eat the rich and pie" tea. Coffee hissed from the pot. The scent was the only normal thing left in town. Billy burst in first, coat half zipped, plastic pumpkin bucket in one hand, candy in the other. "Morning, losers. Guess who scored free samples from the shop?" Kelsie followed, yawning, hair up in a messy knot. "If you woke me up before 9 again, I swear I'll bury you in those buckets." Paul wandered in last, sunglasses, hangover, existential dread. "If you bury him, can I film it? Might go viral." Billy grinned. It'd be the most interesting thing this town's had since the pumpkin parade burned down. Not funny, Kelsie muttered, pouring cereal. People died in that. Yeah, but the marshmallow float survived, Holly shot back. So we're fine. They laughed. Too loud, too brittle. It was how they handled things here, jokes sharp enough to cut the fear. Billy flipped the radio louder. Listen to this. Half-eaten candy corn found near the site. He popped one into his mouth. Dude, don't, Holly swatted him. That's messed up. Relax, it's not that candy corn. He winked, chewing. The front door creaked open. Cold air swept through. A box sat on the porch. Small, orange-striped, black ribbon tied neat. Billy froze mid-bite. Kelsie set her bowl down. Paul stepped forward, half laughing, half not. Okay, who's pranking who? No one moved. Outside, wind rolled across the empty street, pushing dead leaves against their porch steps. The box didn't move, just sat there, waiting. Holly whispered, Don't touch it. Billy swallowed. It's probably from the bakery promo thing. But when he opened the door, the cold hit like a scream. No one was outside. Just that perfect little box. And a faint, far-off whistle from somewhere down the street. The candy shop bell tinked like nervous laughter. Sugar hung thick in the air, clinging to skin and nerves alike. Billy leaned against the counter, half zoned out, scrolling headlines on his phone. Candy corn killer back, truth or terror? He snorted. Small town hysteria, same every year. Kelsie slapped his arm. Yeah, until it's us. He grinned. Then, at least, we'll be famous. The bell chimed again. Mr. Grindle shuffled in, long brown coat, plaid scarf, white gloves far too clean for this side of town. He moved like he was trying not to wake something sleeping inside him. Noon exactly, as always. Good afternoon, my sugary darlings, he said, voice bright and sticky. He placed 9 quarters on the counter, always 9. Same order? Billy asked. 9 candy corns, no more, no less. Kelsie bagged them slow. Busy day? His smile trembled. The air's too loud today. Billy blinked. Sorry? Grindle tilted his head. Can't you hear it? The buzzing under the wind. It's back. He pocketed the bag, fingers twitching like they wanted to count again. Stay away from boxes on porches, he said softly, then looked straight at Billy's mouth. At the faint orange stain on his tongue from the candy he'd eaten that morning. His pupils widened. Oh dear. He hurried out, coat flapping like paper wings. Kelsie whispered, That guy gives me serial killer vibes. Billy forced a laugh, but it cracked halfway out. Outside, fog crept down Main Street, swallowing pumpkins, garlands, and chatter. Through the window, they saw Miss Beasley locking up her bakery early, face pale, hands shaking as she turned her open sign to closed for preparation. Billy muttered, Whole damn town's losing it. Kelsie said, Maybe it never stopped. From the back room, the freezer door clicked open by itself. Inside, neat white boxes waited on the shelf, unlabeled, ribboned in black. By dusk, the town looked like it had been dipped in sugar and set on fire. Orange lights tangled the lampposts. Every shop window grinned with paper skeletons and glitter pumpkins. The Sweet Tooth Parade marched right down Main, brass band croaking out Monster Mash, while kids in capes hurled candy at strangers. Holly watched from the thrift store doorway, arms folded, trying not to breathe in too deep. The air smelled of caramel apples and the heavy chemical sweetness that now made her stomach twist. Billy and Kelsie pushed through the crowd with paper cups of cider, yelling over the noise. Paul trailed behind with a camcorder, filming like a man collecting evidence for future nightmares. "Okay," Billy shouted. "Rule 1, no splitting up. Rule 2, if you see a box, kick it, don't open it." "Rule 3, Kelsie said. No jokes about eating anyone." "Fine," Billy said, half the fun's gone. A float rolled past, shaped like a giant candy corn cone, 3 colors glowing under floodlights. The crowd cheered. Someone tossed handfuls of real candy into the street. Kids dove for it. Then everything slowed. A child at the curb held up a small orange box. Perfect paper, black ribbon. The band kept playing, but the sound warped, tinny and distant. The boy turned it over in his hands, confused, until his mother slapped it away and yelled something no one heard. The box hit the pavement. The lid popped open. Candy corn spilled, bright, wet, glistening like it was sweating. The crowd surged back. A woman screamed. Cider crashed from someone's hand. Police shoved through, shouting for people to clear out. Deputy Rourke knelt, staring at the candy as if waiting for it to move. Billy muttered, "Tell me this is a prank." Paul kept filming. If it is, someone just tanked the town's tourism for a decade. Sirens screamed from the far end of Maine. 2 paramedics ran toward the bakery where Ms. Beasley stood outside, apron streaked red, not with frosting. Holly's breath hitched. She was fine this morning. Kelsie whispered, "Was she?" As the crowd scattered, the wind pushed something small against Holly's boot, a candy wrapper half torn. Inside it, a note written in looping cursive, "Taste the harvest." The bakery looked wrong in the dark. Its pastel awning sagged. The Beasley's Sweets and Treats sign flickered like a dying bulb. Inside, every surface glimmered with thin layers of syrup, as though the walls had started to sweat. Holly pressed her face to the glass. Locked. Paul crouched, pulling a screwdriver from his jacket. Then it's unlocked. The door groaned open. The smell hit first, sugar and burnt hair. Billy gagged. Christ. Kelsie shushed him. Lights. They moved through the kitchen like burglars in a dream, counters lined with half-finished pies. Every crust glittered faintly orange under the flashlight. A sticky trail led from the oven to the back door, where the linoleum darkened with footprints, bare, small, and wet. Holly's voice trembled. "She's been baking tonight." Paul crouched by the walk-in fridge. "Don't," Kelsie said. He opened it anyway. Dozens of white boxes sat stacked neatly inside, each tied with a black ribbon, each leaking a thin line of amber syrup across the shelves. Billy whispered, "Oh, no." A shape shifted behind the hanging rack of trays. Metal clanged. Someone, something, moved. Holly raised her phone light. Ms. Beasley stood there, apron soaked, eyes wide and milky. Her mouth opened, but the voice came out wrong, wet, bubbling, like syrup boiling.
"Trick or treat."
She lunged. Paul swung a tray. It hit her shoulder with a sound like cracking sugar. She collapsed, twitching, hands clawing at her throat. Something poured out, thick and orange, smelling faintly of candy corn. They bolted out the back door, down the alley, gasping. From inside, ovens clicked on by themselves. Heat glowed through the windows, orange as a harvest moon. The bakery filled with smoke and the sound of hundreds of tiny boxes popping open. Billy turned back once. Through the haze, he swore he saw her stand up again, face blistered, smiling too wide. Holly grabbed his arm. "Don't look." Behind them, Fire Street burned bright enough to light half of Dandy Hill. By morning, the smoke had drifted clear across Dandy Hill. Ash fell like black snow on the parade floats still parked along Main. Holly watched from the rental's porch, blanket around her shoulders. Fire Street looked quiet again, too quiet. The radio muttered on the table beside her.
Authorities confirm the fire at Beely's Bakery. Owner presumed deceased. Unidentified remains discovered on site, one believed to be Deputy Cal Rourke. Citizens are advised not to consume unsealed candy.
She shut it off. The static kept whispering anyway. Inside, Billy paced. His skin looked gray under the kitchen light, eyes bloodshot, tongue flicking against his teeth like he was checking for something. "You guys saw her," he said. "That wasn't a person." "No," Kelsie said flatly. "It was a nightmare with frosting." Paul sat at the table, still in the same clothes, watching video playback from last night. "Look," he said. On the grainy screen, Beasley rose from the oven smoke. For a second, her face melted into something bright, orange, yellow, white, candy-colored, then static. "Stop," Holly said. "Turn it off." He didn't. He froze the frame, zoomed in. Her eyes were gone. Only two neat, triangular holes, like candy corn tips, driven into her skull. Billy rubbed his temples. "I can't get the smell out of my nose." Kelsie whispered, "You didn't eat any, did you?" He hesitated, just long enough for everyone to notice. The silence that followed was unbearable. The wind rattled the windows. From somewhere down the street came faint laughter. Kids, maybe, or something pretending to be. Then a thud hit the door. A small box sat on the porch, orange-striped, black ribbon, smoke curling off the lid. Paul swore. "They're being delivered now?" Holly stepped back. "Nobody touch it." But Billy was already moving, slow, mechanical, eyes glazed like glass marbles. "Billy," Kelsie said, voice cracking. "Don't." He reached for the box. The ribbon came loose by itself, sliding away like it was alive. Inside lay not candy, but a piece of flesh, pink and yellow, cut into a perfect triangle. Billy vomited, hitting his knees. Holly slammed the door, locking it 3 times. The laughter outside rose, warping into a shrill whistle, the same 3 notes from the woods. And for the first time, Holly thought she could hear what Mr. Grindle meant. That buzzing under the wind, like something chewing its way up from the roots of Dandy Hill. By sundown, the whole town was moving wrong. From the porch, Holly watched neighbors drift through the fog like sleepwalkers, faces painted, eyes glassy, candy buckets swinging from limp hands. The air tasted like sugar and copper. Billy sat against the wall, shaking. "I can hear them," he muttered. "Their teeth." Kelsie crouched beside him, whispering useless comfort. Paul loaded the shotgun he'd borrowed from the hardware store owner, who hadn't answered his phone since morning. Somewhere downtown, the parade music started again. But no one was playing. The speakers crackled alive with the old carnival tune, slowed, warped, hiccuping between notes. Lights flickered on along Main Street, and one by one, the townsfolk began to hum along. They left the house together just after 8. Fog clung to their clothes, heavy and wet. Pumpkins flickered on doorsteps, everyone carved with the same face, wide smile, triangular eyes, like the candy itself. The candy shop's door stood open. Inside, shelves overturned, syrup dripping from the ceiling like melted wax. On the floor lay 9 empty candy bags. Mr. Grindle's scarf hung on a hook, but he was gone. The humming grew louder outside, hundreds of voices all keeping time with that same whistle. Holly whispered, "Stay close." They turned the corner and saw them. Dozens, no, hundreds of townspeople standing in the street, skin glowing faintly orange under the streetlights, mouths crusted with sugar, eyes hollow. At the center stood Miss Beasley, or what was left of her. Her body stretched and glossy, limbs like dripping taffy, face split in a too wide smile, her hands raised, offering baskets overflowing with candy corn.
"Trick or treat,"
she gurgled. The crowd answered in unison. "Taste the harvest." Then they charged. The 4 ran down alleys, through smoke, candy-colored monsters spilling after them, gnashing sugar-coated teeth. Billy stumbled, fell, screamed. His eyes flashed yellow for a second, then he was on his feet again, panting. "Go!" They reached the old candy factory ruins at the edge of town, the blackened shell of Sweet Tooth Confectionery. Inside, the floor glistened, barrels toppled, leaking syrup that moved as if breathing. Paul found a breaker panel. "We burn it all," he said. Holly struck the match. Flames crawled up the walls like veins. Outside, the mob wailed, melting in the heat, their sweetness turning to smoke. Kelsie screamed, "Billy!" He stood too close to the fire, staring at the candy corn in his hand. One last piece. "Don't," Holly begged. He looked at her, smile soft, tired. "I just want to remember what it used to taste like." He dropped it into the flames. The factory roared. By dawn, Dandy Hill was quiet. Ash blanketed the streets like snow. Holly, Kelsie, and Paul limped toward the horizon, burned, shaking, alive. Behind them, the wind carried one last sound. A faint whistle. 3 notes. On the road ahead sat a single box tied with a black ribbon. Inside, 4 perfect pieces of candy corn, still warm. Epilogue, Dandy Hill, November 1st. The morning sun looked wrong, too bright for a town that had burned all night. Holly sat on the hood of Paul's car, hair singed, jacket ripped, staring at the black plume rising from what was left of the factory. Kelsie slept in the back seat, face turned toward the window, twitching at every sound. Paul stood at the edge of the lot, watching the smoke curl into the sky. "Do you think it's over?" Holly asked. Paul didn't answer right away. The wind shifted, carrying the faint smell of caramelized sugar. He finally said, "Monsters don't burn that easy." A siren wailed somewhere in the distance. Ambulances, maybe, or just another alarm that no one was left to answer. Holly opened the glove box, hands shaking. Inside sat the box they'd found on the road. She told herself it was empty. It wasn't. 4 perfect candy corns glistened inside. No wrapping, no ribbon, just waiting. She slammed it shut, heart hammering. Kelsie stirred. "Everything okay?" Holly forced a smile. "Yeah, just tired." They pulled away from Dandy Hill. Smoke thinned behind them, replaced by the orange shimmer of sunrise. For a moment, it almost looked like autumn fog. Then Holly glanced in the side mirror. A man stood on the shoulder of the road, long brown coat, plaid scarf, white gloves far too clean. Mr. Grindle smiled, holding an open candy bag in one hand. He raised it in a small wave as the car disappeared around the bend. And somewhere, carried by the wind, came that same three-note whistle, soft, sweet, and horribly familiar.